These cursed towns in the United States that people mysteriously abandon will send chills down your spine. Centralia, Pennsylvania, a place where the fire still burns beneath the streets. Imagine waking up one morning to find the ground literally cracking open beneath your feet, smoke pouring from sinkholes, carbon monoxide creeping into your basement. Well, that's what happened in Centralia, Pennsylvania, a quiet coal town until 1962 when a fire accidentally ignited an underground coal seam. They thought it'd burn out in a few days, but it didn't. That fire is still burning today, over 60 years later. The roads warped, houses were swallowed by the earth. By the 1980s, people were ordered to evacuate. Today, graffiti-covered Route 61, known as Graffiti Highway, is the only clue left of a town once home to over 1,000 people. And some who return say they've heard voices in the smoke. It's definitely a creepy place to visit, but if you go, come back and let me know your experience. Dudleytown, Connecticut, the village that drives people insane. Locals call it the Village of the Damned. Now, Dudleytown, nestled in the so-called Dark Entry Forest, was once a small settlement in the 1700s, but then everything went wrong. Settlers went insane. People unalived themselves, lightning strikes, entire families just kind of going off. Now, even those who visited would suffer misfortune afterward. Rumors say the Dudley family brought a curse over from England, a punishment for betraying the monarchy. Today, the forest has completely consumed the town and police guard it 24/7 to keep people away. Visitors who sneak in report a suffocating silence, whispering voices, and sudden nausea. It's literally a town so haunted that no one is allowed to visit, so stay away or don't. Times Beach, Missouri, poisoned by its own roads. In the early 1980s, a strange sickness swept through Times Beach, Missouri. Children developed rashes, pets passed away mysteriously, people were collapsing. The cause? Well, the roads. From 1972 to 1976, the city had paid a waste hauler to spray used oil on the roads to keep dust down. That oil contained dioxin, one of the deadliest chemicals known to man. In 1983, the CDC stepped in and ordered a full evacuation. The entire town was bulldozed. Over 2,000 people lost their homes. Now it's a ghostly shell buried under a thick forest, except for the road to nowhere, still cracked and stained with poison. So if you're thinking of visiting, it's highly advised that you don't. Cairo, Illinois, a town choked by hatred. Now, what happens when a town implodes under the weight of its own racism and corruption? You get Cairo, Illinois. Once a thriving port city, Cairo was known for its grand mansions and busy downtown, but during the civil rights era, racist tensions exploded. Assassinations, riots, a years-long boycott that basically gutted the economy. And then came the corruption, police brutality, disappearing funds, fires that just mysteriously consumed buildings. People began to flee. Now today, Cairo looks frozen in time. Storefronts rot behind broken windows. Entire streets sit empty. It's a town haunted not by ghosts, but by the consequences of its own history. Bodie, California, a place where even ghosts got the heck out of there. The Wild West was violent, but Bodie was next level. In the 1880s, it was a booming gold town with over 10,000 residents, but it had a very dark reputation. Slayings were daily events. Saloon brawls turned absolutely lethal. People simply just disappeared. One little girl famously wrote in her diary, "Goodbye, God, I'm going to Bodie." Now, by the 1940s, it was totally abandoned. Locals say anyone who tries to take anything from Bodie, even a rock, is cursed. The Park Service still receives mailed back items with apology letters saying they've suffered accidents, demises, and even bankruptcies. Kennecott, Alaska, frozen in time, literally. Deep in the Alaskan wilderness lies a perfectly preserved town. Homes fully furnished, school books still on desks, clothes hanging in closets, but there's literally not a soul in sight. This is Kennecott, once the richest copper mine in the world. In the 1900s, it was booming, but when the copper dried up, the entire town shut down literally overnight. There were no send-offs, no goodbyes, just silence. Now today, it's only accessible by a very long, dangerous road. Visitors report a heavy atmosphere, like they're being watched by someone or something. And some say they even hear footsteps echoing through the empty mill. Gilman, Colorado, evacuated by the EPA. Gilman sits high in the Rocky Mountains, but don't let the stunning view fool you. What's buried beneath is very toxic. Now founded in the 1800s or 1880s, it thrived on mining silver, zinc, and lead. But in the 1980s, the EPA discovered that, mine waste had contaminated the groundwater with arsenic like sulfuric acid and other poisons. So the entire town was basically condemned and evacuated evacuated. Residents were forced out by 1984. Now, the homes actually still stand, many with furniture and belongings just simply untouched, but it's actually illegal to go inside. The pollution is still that dangerous, and locals say that at night you can actually hear mining carts rattling down tracks that haven't moved in 40 years, so safe to say it's probably haunted. Thurmond, West Virginia, the town the railroad left behind. Thurmond was a railroad boomtown full of life in the early 1900s. It had banks, hotels, even casinos, but it was also built on one thing: coal. When the railway shifted to diesel and the coal industry crashed, the town then shriveled up. By 1950, it was nearly empty. The post office didn't close until 1995, with only 5 residents left. Today, you can walk its tracks and peek into buildings locked in time. It feels like the whole town is just waiting for something or someone to return. Some ghost hunters swear it already has. Rhyolite, Nevada, millionaire's mirage. Now, at its peak, Rhyolite had electricity before New York City. It had concrete sidewalks, an opera house, and even a stock exchange, but it all vanished in just 5 short years. The gold rush here was a mirage. The mine failed, banks collapsed, and people fled in groups, but some say the land was cursed long before settlers arrived. This sacred, land was never meant to be disturbed. Now, today, only the skeletons of buildings remain, including a house made of 50,000 beer bottles. Now, the silence there is overwhelming. Visitors report sudden dizziness, nausea, and an eerie sense that they're being followed. Last on my list for you today, I have Elkmont, Tennessee, where the Smokies swallowed a town. Now, deep inside the Great Smoky Mountains lies the ghost town of Elkmont. Now, once a logging camp, it became a luxurious getaway for the wealthy. Think Victorian cabins, fancy lodges, swing dancing under the stars. But in the 1990s, the National Park Service forced the last residents out and reclaimed the land. We don't know why. Now, the park let nature take over. Vines now crawl through the cabins, porches collapsed under moss, and the strangest part though, some visitors report hearing old-time music at night, swing tunes kind of drifting through the trees, except with nobody around. Which place would you be most interested in visiting? Let me know. Thanks for watching. I'm your host Ashley. Until next time, stay scared. These cursed objects that Ed and Lorraine Warren warned us about should never ever be touched. Annabelle, the doll that tried to unalive a man. You've seen her in the movies, but the real Annabelle is far more terrifying because she doesn't just move, she attacks. This seemingly harmless Raggedy Ann doll was gifted to a nursing student in the 1970s. At first, it was just the usual creepy stuff: moving rooms, changing positions, strange notes appearing on parchment paper they didn't own, but things escalated fast. A friend of the girls mocked Annabelle one night and even grabbed her, daring her to do something. 3 days later, he passed away in a motorcycle accident, and witnesses say he was laughing about the doll right before he crashed. His girlfriend survived, but swore they had been fighting about Annabelle before he lost control of the bike. When Ed and Lorraine Warren took Annabelle, she was locked in a specially made glass case, and even then, she didn't stop. One visitor tapped on the case, daring the doll to do her worst. Hours later, he crashed his motorcycle too. The Warrens say Annabelle doesn't forgive disrespect ever. So yeah, they definitely do not want you touching her or even tapping on her glass.